killed my daughter. I killed my daughter. I beat her up. It wasn't my intention to kill her, but I beat her up too much.
These were the chilling words of 41-year-old Sara Sharif in a 999 call that shook everyone who heard it. On August 10, 2023, police rushed to a home in Woking, England, and what they found was a nightmare made real. A little girl's lifeless body covered in over 70 injuries, evidence of torture no child should ever endure. But how did this happen? What could have led to such cruelty, and why did no one step in to save her? This is a heartbreaking story of 10-year-old Sara Sharif, a young girl betrayed by the very people who should have protected her. Sara Sharif was born on January 11, 2013, in Slough, Berkshire. Bright, bubbly, and full of life, she dreamed of becoming a singer, inspired by shows like The X Factor. She loved playing the guitar, adored the color pink, and would happily eat chicken biryani every day if she could. But behind her sweet smile was a life marked by pain and neglect. Her father, Sara Sharif, was a Pakistani taxi driver who moved to the UK in 2001, while her mother, Olga Domin, was Polish. The couple married in 2009, had a son in 2010, and welcomed Sara 3 years later. Yet, their relationship was troubled. Their home was no stranger to violence and neglect. Even before Sara was born, social services were already involved with the family. Reports of abuse and neglect piled up, painting a grim picture of a home filled with fear and instability. When Sara was just 2 years old, she was placed in a foster care after multiple abuse allegations. Her parents eventually separated, and Sara began living with her mother. For a while, life seemed to stabilize, but in Easter of 2019, everything changed again. Urfan claimed that Sara had told him her mother was abusive. Family court documents recorded shocking allegations that Olga had tried to drown Sara, burn her with lighter, and pull her hair. While some questions whether these claims were manipulated by the father, the court ended up awarding him full custody later that year. Sara moved in with her father, stepmother, Benash Batu, their 4 children, and her uncle, Faisal Malik. Her mother, devastated by the custody decision, had limited contact and was heartbroken that Sara was being raised in a Muslim household against her wishes. By December of 2020, disturbing signs of abuse surfaced. Sara's stepmother sent pictures to her sister of Sara with serious bruises on her face and her arms. Over the next 2 years, messages between Benash and her sister revealed a grim reality. Sara was regularly beaten by her father. One night, she was reportedly forced to stay awake, performing sit-ups as punishment. Neighbors recounted hearing the gut-wrenching screams of a child, sounds that haunted them. School staff also noted suspicious injuries, including bruises on her face and her chin. And when asked, Sara's explanations often didn't add up. It didn't make sense. She'd sometimes say maybe she fell down the stairs or she fell down from a bike.
In bruises.
She told me she fell off her bike, but I just knew that's not something that you would fall off your bike.
By January of 2023, she began wearing a hijab to hide her bruises. In April 2023, Sara was pulled out of school to be homeschooled by her stepmother. The reason? She was allegedly bullied for wearing a hijab, but the truth was far darker. School may have actually been the only safe space she had left to escape the nightmare at home. Behind closed doors, Sara was suffering. By August of 2023, Sara's suffering had reached unbearable levels. She had at least 25 broken bones and a traumatic brain injury. Her health had deteriorated so much. In her final days, the abuse escalated. She was beaten, branded on her bottom with a hot iron, and hooded with plastic bags secured with packing tape. Her fragile body barely clinging to life. Sara's condition got so bad that she began vomiting and wearing a diaper because she had lost control of her bowels. Yet, she was never taken to a hospital for treatment. On the afternoon of Tuesday, August 8, 2023, a neighbor heard a piercing scream from the sheriff's home. The scream then abruptly stopped. It was the last time anyone would hear Sarah's voice. That same night, she was beaten again by her father, this time on the stomach with a metal pole for pretending to be ill. Her tiny body, broken and exhausted, couldn't take it anymore. Sarah died that night, a child who had only known a world of violence and betrayal. On August 10, 2023, at around 2:47 a.m., the Surrey police received a 999 call. It was Sara Sharif calling from Islamabad airport in Pakistan. By then, he had already fled to Pakistan with his wife, brother, and 5 children. Sobbing uncontrollably over the phone, he confessed, "I've killed my daughter. It wasn't my intention to kill her, but I beat her up too much. I'm a cruel father," he said. Police rushed to the family home in Woking, where they discovered Sarah's lifeless body under the covers of a bunk bed. Beside her pillow was a handwritten note in which Urfan admitted to her murder. A search of the house revealed horrific items: plastic bags, packing tapes, a cricket bat stained with her blood, and a metal pole. It was a brutal end to the life of a girl remembered by her former class teacher as spirited and sassy. On 15th of August, a post-mortem was carried out which revealed the extent of her injuries. Her body was covered in over 70 injuries, a traumatic head injury, 11 spinal fractures, burns from a domestic iron, scalding from hot water, human bite marks covering her body, and multiple broken bones. These horrific injuries suggested the prolonged abuse that Sarah went through. Immediately, an international manhunt led to Urfan and the others being arrested at Gatwick Airport upon their return to the UK in September of 2023. They were charged with murder and allowing the death of a child. They were remanded in custody, and in December of 2023, they all shamelessly pleaded not guilty to each charge. They were then set to stand trial in September of 2024. In December of 2024, during the 8-week trial, the court heard disturbing evidence of the torture Sarah endured. The prosecutor detailed how Sarah had been hooded, tied up, and subjected to repeated assaults. She painted a picture of a young girl who was let down by those closest to her, the people she should have been able to trust. The trial was deeply emotional, particularly when Sarah's father admitted full responsibility, saying he legally punished her for being too naughty. Just imagine. Initially, he claimed his wife, Benash, was responsible for Sarah's death and that his confession was false, meant to protect her. However, under cross-examination, he dramatically reversed his stance, admitting she died because of me. He admitted to striking her with a cricket bat and a metal pole from a high chair. He also struck her on the head with a mobile phone, but denied biting or burning her. And the bite marks on Sarah's body really did not match his or the brother's dental impressions. But his wife refused to provide samples of hers. I can imagine why. If you're as innocent as you claim, why not just provide your dental impressions? I mean, it's not that difficult. On 11th of December 2024, Sara Sharif and Benash Batul were found guilty of Sarah's murder. Faisal, that's her uncle, Sarah's uncle, was convicted of allowing her death but cleared of any murder charge. The father and stepmother were sentenced to life in prison on Tuesday 17th of December, while Sarah's uncle, Faisal, was sentenced to 16 years in prison. I think it's safe to say justice was perfectly done because these 3 suspects each had a hand in the death of this innocent young girl. The question that keeps haunting everyone is how could this happen? For 13 years, social services were aware of Sarah's family. There were arrests for domestic violence, visible bruises noted by her school, and even screams heard by neighbors. Yet, time and again, Sarah was returned to the people who harmed her. Every adult in her life failed her. They failed to provide her the protection she desperately needed. Her mother, Olga, described her as an angelic little girl who could brighten any room, but even her love wasn't enough to save Sarah from the horrors she faced. Sarah's story is devastating because it didn't have to end this way. If anyone had stepped in, she might still be here. She could still be here, playing her guitar and dreaming of stardom. Instead, She is a tragic reminder of what happens when a child is let down by everyone around them. This case is a sad one, guys. So what do you think? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section. Every child deserves a safe and loving home, and it's up to all of us to speak up when we see something wrong. If you ever notice a child in distress, don't hesitate to report it. You might be the only voice they have. Let's honor Sarah's memory by standing up for children everywhere. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.